Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming for this class, which focus on community development research methodologies. And this is part of the requirements, as you know, for the inspiration economy, resilience economy, master and PhD classes. Now, one of the things that we need to know when we try to do a research for community development or solve a problem as per inspiration economy techniques and differential diagnosis, we need to go through 10 steps. These 10 steps can be summarized as dare to tackle the problem, dare to dissect the problem, dare to explore the problem, dare to realize the problem, dare to visualize the problem, and dare to experiment the problem. And then dare to excite the problem and innovate in problem solving, and then dare to simplify the implementation and transform the community to a better place, or the problem opportunities to a better, let's say, community development. So what we mean is that when we say dare, the word dare here in the number one, it means that we are assessing the socioeconomic issues and the community's life. And then we start to dissect what is we have assessed based on the observation. So we study the anatomy of the socioeconomic problem solving within this community or this targeted issue or this group. And then we start to explore to predict what type of observation we have collected, and we start to categorize them by codification and classification techniques. And then we start to realize the psychology of the problem. What is the behind this problem and how it works? What is who are the stakeholders? And this is, we collect them, the first four, we call them the principle of problem solving and inspiration economy. Then we talk about the other four, which is the strengths of socioeconomic problem solution and socioeconomic development. We're supposed to, based on when we get to understand and categorize the observation, we start to visualize the solution. So we start to build empathy as if we are concerned with the problem or we are part of the problem. And then we start to reflect on the problem solving and create a reflection on how we'd like to see the problem become an opportunity. And then we start to experiment the problem, let's say variables or the opportunities discovered or the observations seen with the curiosity and learning in problem solving. Then we reach to 7, which is the excite, which is here we build inspiration, engineering, and problem solving. Then we reach to innovate, which means that we make breakthroughs in socioeconomic solutions. These four, as we said, they are the strengths after the principles. And then we come to the main stages of differentiation of the socioeconomic problem solving outcome. And this is what differentiate, again, an inspiring solution from a normal solution or a traditional solution. Here we start to simplify the complex problem through the differential diagnosis or other techniques. And we start to transform the problem through behavior economics and problem solving to make it actually practical, and it will create a nudge within the community. Now, what does community research requires? It requires psychological realism, which means it is heightened if the people feel involved in a real event. So people will become more psychologically involved, and they will live the purpose of the problem, and they would even support the community, and they will participate very strongly because they want to achieve the psychological realism. Now, this means that there are different ways of the experiment we can follow. It can be mundane realism technique, which is that we do experiment similar to real life situation in the community, and we visualize that and we go through the steps. Or we do psychological realism, which means we do actually a psychological process that is triggered by the experiment, similar to the psychological processes that occur in everyday life. Both of them is, again, possible when we start working with a community research. The most important of the thing of the problem solution in community is that its ability that we repeat the study with the different subject population or different setting, because so that the community can benefit from it and then it can be generalized to other communities. This means that we need to have a behavior of particular population in each community to ensure that the participants are randomly selected from the population. So we need to, again, to ensure that we are dealing with different behavior. Especially in humans, you cannot control the outcome unless you start to involve different people, and then you actually try to calibrate your outcome. So we need to impractical. Of course, it is impractical and expensive to select random samples always for most of the social experiments, but we'll try to do that. So many researchers, they use basic psychological processes as a fundamental thing so that they can avoid to do, let's say, a general sample or a big sample in the end of the day. And as we said, it's most important is that we can replicate the testing or the pilot. Some people, they do meta-analysis, which is mean they do statistical techniques on the average results of 2 or more studies before the study that is carried out, if it is available. Now, during community development research, also we need to understand the cross-cultural research, which means that we're going to conduct a research with members of different cultures to see whether the psychological processes of interest are present in both cultures and whether there are specific to the culture. There are specific things in the culture that we need to understand or need to be raised. Much of the research on the human emotions actually shown that there is evidence of universality, means that people in different cultures express emotions on their faces in the same way, even in remote cultures having no contact with the rest of the world. So this is again a similar human emotions. Sometimes we have also cultural influences, like people are best at recognizing emotion expressed by members of their own culture. So we can go for universality or the norms or cultural influences. So this is what we call it cross-cultural research. Again, cross-cultural research, always we need to guard against imposing our own viewpoints and definitions on the research. So what we learn from the culture into our culture into another culture. So we should not carry this or without knowing that. And again, we should ensure that we have our independent variables are understood by the different cultures. Now, there are dilemma, of course, in the community development. One of the thing is that we need always to conduct our research in field experiments. This means that we need to study behavior outside the lab and in a natural setting. And this means that sometimes we can't control this in real life because we'll have challenges. But again, we have to do that because the more we take this in reality, the more our research will be having realistic results. So by increasing the external validity by conducting field experiments, we also will have a challenge of losing the control over the setting. And of course, this will affect our internal validity. Now, there is a basic research experiment, which means that we design to answer basic questions about why people do what they do. And we have also applied studies, which is most of inspiration economy. They are applied studies, means that the research is designed to find ways to solve specific social problems. And thus, in order to do this, It means that we need to get involved with the social problem and understand the psychological processes responsible for it. And this means that in social psychology, the distinction between basic and applied research is fuzzy. And we need to take care of that it is not as easy as it is sounds. But again, in all the cases, once we do for applied research, we will go for, again, understanding with the relation between the dependent and independent variables. Now, we know that there are lots of advances today on how we do applied, research, which is key to solving significant applied problems in reality. Of course, we need to take care of ethical issues because the community development expert supposed to be responsible for the consent of the people. They need to be also the participants shouldn't be under stress, or they should be comfortable, or at least they feel comfortable with answering or reacting with the research, and not using pressures or external parties. This is what we say is about influencing without power. The researcher goes about also the business of creating, conducting experiments without pressurizing people, as we mentioned. So we need to have what we call informed consent, which means that participants agree on the experiment, and they do it in full awareness that this will be published. Maybe we don't publish their names, but at least they know that this will be published, and then it can be shared with them. So in this stage, we need to know also that since we are doing applied, there are three types of applied. The first one is the observational research, observational method. We mentioned about the correlation method, which we also spoken about, the relation between the variables, whether positive or negative, or there is no relation. And we also have the experimental method, which is, again, you go to the field and by trial and error discover. This involves choosing the right method to maximize the strength of these methods. For that, we need to really ensure that people, or we as researchers, we don't exaggerate our results, especially when we are doing applied, because at the end of the day, we suppose not to predict the outcome of the study in general and be biased to what we predicted. So we supposed to put a hypothesis about the effect of social influence. For example, though insights do sometimes occur suddenly, science is a cumulative process, and people often generate a hypothesis from previous theories and research. So this is example that we are supposed to ensure that is we don't generate hypotheses from previous research and only, but we need to generate it from the field. For that, we supposed to get our inspiration from earlier theories when we do actually our own type of thinking, and we start to explain other people behaviors. For example, why they fail to help something, collaborate together during emergency. So community development experts will be a scientist in other disciplines, and he or she will be engaged in a continual process of theory refinement, whether he's going to be involved with the theory development, or theory testing, or theory revising, or setting up the hypothesis from observation of everyday life. I think we'll stop here and continue with you in the next setting. Thank you.